Live from Phoenix, Arizona, or from Avondale, Arizona, we welcome race fans one and all to the iRacing Stock Car Association Tucson Sound Art Cup Series for the preseason race of 2022 here for the Charles Shaw 156, live from the Phoenix Raceway. My name is Lolabempo with Alfonso Nixon beside me in the commentary box and the wonderful Rob Melnick down behind the cameras for tonight's race. So we got set to go out for what could be an absolutely fantastic preseason race, and there are some new names coming into this race, Al, and I think the most notable thing is for the first time in ISCA history, this Tucson Sound Art Cup Series will have a bigger grid than that of the Bucket Cup Series. 21 cars today compared to the 17-car grid we had at Vegas just a few days ago.
Yeah, absolutely. I think everybody is chomping at the bit to get a hold of these Gen 7 cars. So this is going to be an awesome race. I think it's going to be really exciting as we get a chance to see exactly how these 5-speeds are going to handle on what's relatively considered to be a short track.
It is, of course, a 1 mile oval, or just under a 1 mile oval, and that should make it a really entertaining race for us here tonight. 156 laps on the docket for us tonight. Stage cautions at laps 30 and 60. And there are a lot of new names coming into this race as well here tonight. Ryan Cliver is making his first ever start at the number 16 entry. He's currently sitting second fastest on the boards. You also got Adrian Watts making his return. Logan Hamilton coming on back. He raced once over at Chicagoland at the end of the 2021 season, then took a break for the season finale. Barrick Uphold making his first ever ISCA start. Al Kozlowski making his way over from the Thursday Night Cup Series. Robert Pangale also making his long-awaited return for the Tucson Sound Art Cup Series. He raced about the first 3 races, then took a break throughout the remainder of the 2021 season. Of course, you have others like Richard Elliott Adamson. O'Connor is back. Mario LaPinta comes back from more after he made his first start in the Thursday Night Cup Series, getting his first top 10, his first ever start there. First top 5, as a matter of fact. And Don Avery, yet another rookie, currently brings up the tail end in the number 11. So a lot of new names, but a lot of familiar faces as well. The only question I think to say for us here tonight, Al, can these newer faces contend for a top spot in the board? Considering we got one of those new faces second fastest so far in qualifying, I think the answer is a solid yes.
Yeah, solid yes is absolutely, that is the correct answer. So not only do we got new faces, but we're actually looking at a completely new setup as these cars are nothing like their predecessors. So it's going to be interesting to see what this, because like I said, it's a 5-speed sequential shift. So are these guys going to look at, is anybody going to shift, or is everybody just going to roll through? Tires is going to be another issue. Usually tires on the old Gen 6 cars, they would actually pop up and be an issue. With these cars, drivers able to go actually a lot longer, probably on a full tank of gas without actually having to check up or stop for tires. So I think a lot of things are going to change. Pit strategy, you got a lot of teams that are here. A lot of these teams like the G&G racing team, these guys are consistently putting on a strong show. So I think that even the new names are going to actually they're going to figure out who the old names are, and that's just going to make for even more exciting racing for us.
About 10 seconds left in qualifying. We're watching Mario LaPinta coming around the track for his first ever outing. O'Connor as well, currently sitting 8th fastest on the boards, rounding the end of his second lap this time by. Trying to see if we can get that time down. Just going to make it past our finish in time with qualifying complete. Let's get a rundown now for your national anthem.
Oh, say, can't you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Race fans, it is time for those most famous words in motorsports.
Drivers, start your engines!
And we are back for the Charles Shaw 156 here from the Phoenix Raceway in beautiful Avondale, Arizona. Let's take a rundown for your starting grid in tonight's race. Chris Severa starts this race on a pole position with Ryan Clifford beside him on that front row in his number 16 Mustang. Kenny Powell starts in third with Adrian Watts in fourth. Greg Wyszynski is fifth fastest with Kyle Green down in sixth, though as I understand it, might not be making the start here today from the third row. Chris Johnson is in seventh place with Joshua O'Connor in eighth. Logan Hamilton starts ninth with Bear got pulled down in 10th.
Al Glasky is going to be in 11th. Brian Watts in 12th. Frank Flores and Josh Schaffner coming in 13th and 14th. Don Avery in 15th. Wayne Grassy in 16th. Gary Adams in 17th. Richard Elliott 18th. Mario LaPinta in 19th. Robert Pattengill in 20th. And Paul Olson rounds out your top 21.
So 21 drivers, though could be 20 here today if Green doesn't get himself gridded on up, getting set to duke it out here from the Phoenix Raceway. And it should be an absolutely thrilling night of racing as well. Of course, we talked about the three stages, stage cautions at laps 30 and 60. 6 tire sets, interestingly enough, on the night. Estimated 60 laps the fuel window. So as always, fuel not going to be a problem until the third and final stage, where cars will find themselves about 36 laps shy of being able to make it to the end of this race. So with all that in mind, Phoenix Raceway is one heck of a track to kick off a preseason race, right? So what do you think are some of the things we might be looking to watch out for here tonight?
Side-by-side racing, as well as that first turn, because drivers are going to want to dive into that first turn to try to establish themselves and get track position. So as that happens, it's going to be interesting to see how everybody funnels together. So if everybody can get along and get through those turns, okay, we'll actually be able to get some green flag racing. But I think it's going to be cautions at the beginning a little bit. That's what I think we should look out for.
There's, of course, going to be a lot to play for here tonight. The one important thing to note is that points are not on the line in this preseason race. That is going to be coming on up for us in race 1, which will be coming up in just 1 week's time, where we kick off both Butt Kicker and Tucson Soundtrack Cup Series seasons at the Atlanta Motor Speedway for a 163-lap event. And that should be an interesting race in of itself with the extremely old track surface. So now we get set to get this race underway. Pace car is rolling, and now we get set to see what these drivers can do for 156 laps. Before we get this race underway then here, Al, is there anybody you think we should be keeping an eye on here in tonight's race?
You know, I'm always going to go for those G&G guys. Chris Johnson, I think he's going to be a favorite. Also, Severa, you can never count that guy out. As well as Kenny Powell. So those are some names that we're used to saying over and over again, but it'd be interesting to see if some of the other guys could actually make their way up front.
Pace cars on the back straight away, and drivers waiting around until that restart zone. I believe that might just be a thing that would be in place for this race. Usually you can go typically right around when the pace car pulls off. This race, though, I believe you have to wait for that restart zone in turns 3 and 4. And of course, on the initial start, gotta wait for the iRacing green. So it'll be up to Chris Severa once that iRacing starter gets set to drop the green flag. And now that green flag waves. We are underway at Avondale for the Charles Shaw 156. Severa with a fantastic launch. Cliver tucks it in line for second place. Look out for Powell, though, trying to look at the inside. He'll throw one up the inside of the number 6 Penske Mustang and try to punch his ticket through up into second place, but it's not going to happen this time by through turn 2. Trouble behind already. Cars wrecking in the background. O'Connor's around. Up pulled into the inside wall. Hamilton's involved. Brian Watson is there. Chris Johnson has damage. Schaffner collected. It's the big one on the back straightaway on the opening lap of this race.
And just like that, it unfortunately, like I said, drivers are going to be trying to figure out where they're going to go, and there's really nowhere to go once that big one happens. So let's take a look at what happened there.
A lot of drivers collected, barely anybody getting out of that. O'Connor just clipped the outside wall and then rebounded right back down into Chris Johnson, and everybody else behind just has absolutely nowhere to go. Al Kozlowski got into that big time as well. He slammed the inside wall as a result, and you look on board with O'Connor now is about a total of 9-10 cars out of our 20-car field collected in that major incident.
Yeah, nothing really out of the ordinary. O'Connor just kind of seems to lose it a little bit and ultimately hits the wall and comes back in and collects a good portion of our outfield with him. So now we got a caution out. Drivers are going to be in making repairs. Hopefully they can stay on the lead lap and get back out there and try to keep their laps going. It's just really hard to get repairs done and stay on the lead lap when you have such a small racetrack like Phoenix.
It looks to me as though O'Connor lost it on power out of turn number 2. There seems to be where that back end kicked out, and then he overcorrected up at the outside wall, and obviously, from there, it was on. That is, of course, a very big hazard in these next-gen cars. It takes a little bit to get those tires up to temp, and clearly didn't have those tires up to temperatures as much as I guess he thought he did. So, with all of that said and done, Josh Schaffner, he's already out of this race. He's taking his machine to the garage. Uphold has got some major damage. No front clip. Barely any rear clips on that machine as well. Watson has got some damage. LaPinta got out of that unscathed, I believe. Hamilton's missing his front clip. He's got a lot of damage. And the rear bumper, as a matter of fact. Chris Johnson's missing the front clip. He's about to go a lap down. Same story with O'Connor. And, in fact, one other driver on pit road for Al Kozlowski. And check that, even another one. Frank Flores involved. So you got about a quarter, third of your field with some serious damage already before you even get one lap complete under green.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it's a lot of those big names that we thought we would be calling off a little bit later on here. Just unfortunate circumstances so early in the race for these guys to get caught up. The good thing is, as long as you can protect the power plant, in fact, tracks like Phoenix, you're not really pushing the aero too much. But, yeah, good luck.
Pace cars down and in. I believe Severa will be waiting around for that Geico restart zone in turns 3 and 4 before he gets this show back underway. Flores, Kozlowski, O'Connor, Johnson, all still sitting on pit road. It could be a long run for those cars to catch back up and potentially fight for more positions later on in this race. Severa's in the restart zone. He launches. Oh, he spins right out of the gate. The caution flies. Oh, it's all falling apart for Chris Severa. That is an embarrassing incident right there for the number 62. We were just talking so highly about him at the top of this race. Talk about a rookie mistake there, Al. Just losing it as soon as he stamped on the throttle.
Yeah, but these cars, they're different. I mean, it's a totally. I'm probably gonna say that 100 times tonight, so somebody count for me. But Severa, we can't really blame him. You think you got the grip. You go into the throttle probably a little bit too hard, but this track is just not a clean place everywhere. So he gets into to those marbles, and next thing you know, whoop, around he comes.
Good grief. I think to say this season hasn't gotten off as well as a lot of these drivers would have liked is a bit of an understatement. We're on our second yellow.
We're 5 laps into this thing, and we've already had 2 cautions. So yeah, it's quite a showing. It's a testament to these cars being a lot different, and drivers trying to kind of figure out how these things are, how it works, what's going to work, what lines work, what setups work. What adjustments can you make?
Hamilton has taken this opportunity to come down pit road to get some damage fixed. He's got a front clip on the Tucson Sound Art number 12 Chevrolet now to get his car repaired. Chris Johnson has also exited back out on track in his Southern Spiral Pipe Mustang to put his back on track. O'Connor has fixed up some damage. He's 3 laps down. Flores still in pit road, still getting damage fixed. Same story with Al Kozlowski. So you got a couple of more guys that are not going to complain about these yellow flags because they're able to come back out on track. I'm still at a loss. I mean, Severa's been racing in this league for so long. We know how talented he is. I'm surprised that it was he of all people that ended up bringing out a yellow. I mean, that is a mistake that is not easy, shall we say, to make, right? I mean, it's a mistake that is very easy to avoid. And I'm just surprised that anybody in this grid can be caught out so easily by it.
Yeah, well, that's the reason why we call it racing. You know, we have to actually put the laps on the track in order to figure out how everything plays out. So no one's immune from it, brother.
And still under this caution period. I believe it might be 2 degree this time by. Why don't we take a quick step away? We'll be back with 1 degree in just a few moments.
There are moments that surprise and delight the mind and the senses. Introducing Sound Art, the world's first truly customizable, concealed, flat panel art speaker system. A revolutionary combination of incredible sound delivered from your most meaningful pictures. When art and technology intersect, there is a seamless blend of creativity and function.
I'm alive in the streetlight, pulling at the stars in the moonlight. Every time I feel you close.
With Sound Art, anyone can print their own artwork or pick from numerous licensed artwork that we have. The possibilities are limitless. Enjoy beautiful and amazing sound throughout your home. The entire surface of your artwork generates incredibly robust sound. Your art never sounded so good.
Back live here from the Phoenix Raceway. We get set to go back racing. This time we hope to be racing for more than half a lap. We still have yet to make a full green flag lap under this green flag period. Pace car is off. This time it's rookie Ryan Cliver to lead them to the green flag. We're back underway for the Charles Shaw 156 at Phoenix.
And Cliver's going to take the lead around. So hopefully everybody will get in line and we can actually get some green flag laps out so we can actually test this tire model and see if Big Ol' Al is right about how, if Big Al is right about how these tires are going to hold up.
And this time by, Cliver leads them out of turn 4, and that is our first green flag lap fully of the race. We get set to potentially log the rest of stage 1 out away cleanly. Although from the 30-lap sprint, there's now just going to be 20 laps left to go in stage 1 when they take that yellow flag. The top 5 all single filed out, side by side for 6th and 7th behind, with Grossi trying to fend off one Gary Adamson. They look further behind. There's Logan Hamilton collected in the lap 1 big one, and he is trying to fight it out with Chris Vera. The guy that brought our second caution flag when he self-spun, coming to the green flag on that additional restart.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be one of those races where drivers are going to have to try to be available at the end of this thing. It's going to be short track racing. We'll be bouncing off each other. Cars are going to get damaged. The drivers are going to have to find a way to make it around the track without damaging the equipment too bad and be available to win this thing at the end. We've already got quite a few guys that are at least 2 laps down. So some of those things that we used to say we're not going to have at the end of this thing. But it's going to be interesting to see what guys are going to actually come out on top of this thing with the new car.
And how about Kenny Powell up the inside for second place, and Andrew Watts chasing the 08 up the track, and neither driver able to capitalize, and instead One Greg Wyszynski poked his nose up the inside. Now Powell trying to duke it out around the outside line. Wyszynski, though, is going to hold firm on the bottom side. G&G teammates battling it out with the JBR Chevy just in front of them. And all the while, Ryan Cliver gets set to stretch his legs out in front of this field. Wyszynski still holding to the bottom at the moment of Adrian Watts. That inside line could prove crucial today with these next-gen cars. Here comes Powell making it 3 wide per second through the dog leg and into turn number 1. Give it to the wide. Oh, and Watts gets sent by Wyszynski into the outside wall. The 11 of Don Avery just misses him. And we're under caution for the 3rd time today.
Well, no one said this was going to be a boring race. You got to give it up for those G&G guys taking it 3 wide right up here early on in the race, as a matter of fact. But you know what happens? What did this track giveth, this track taketh away.
And this one, I have to say, was kind of on Adrian Watts. Watch this here into turn 1. Just comes down, and Wyszynski's there. He holds his line. Watts comes down across and sends himself into the outside wall, backs it in. And how about the 11 car, right, of Don Avery? Just managing to scrape through there unscathed, kept it out of the wall, just about kept it out of the wall. Might have had a small glance with it, but could have been a heck of a lot worse. Watch on board here, Al, with the 11.
It's amazing these guys are going to actually take it 3 wide, you know, and then it's where you're going to go, you know. Someone's going to have to lift, someone's going to have to give. If not, well, someone's going to bounce off the wall.
Saw it right there on board with Don Avery's very plain-looking number 11 Toyota Camry, and just managed to scrape through that by the skin of his teeth. So Watts now falling well back. He is in pit road. Uphold has come back into pit road to fix up some damage. Richard Elliott also in the pit road, this time by. And all of this, you've got Al Kozlowski, who has retired from... Oh, check that. He is not retired from this race. Kozlowski back out on track. 10 laps down. It's going to be a long road ahead of Kozlowski. I think he's going to have to hope that people wreck themselves out in front of them before this race is over. And right in front of him, that's Frank Flores, the Shake and Bake number 28 entry. Sitting 4 down, and ahead of him, O'Connor. 3 down at the moment in his Ford Mustang. Chris Johnson, 2 laps down. I believe just took 1 lap back, so might just be 1 down this time by. Check, that's still... Nope, he is 1 lap down. So Chris Johnson is basically confirmed out. If he doesn't collect any more incidents, he could find himself back on the lead lap by the end of stage 1 here.
Yeah, that's got to be great news for those guys, because I mean, this is a race that you truly want to race. Everybody wants to come out here, put some laps down, get in and out of dirty air, see how the car's going to handle. NASCAR's done a lot of changes with this car, and we haven't actually been able to see how the car is going to perform in traffic like that. So this is although it's a non-points event, it's still a pretty crucial time actually to get some laps in, because the season starts next week.
We did see how these cars handled that 1.5 miles a few days ago for the Charles Shaw 200. That was at Las Vegas Motor Speedway over in Las Vegas, Nevada, and that was a very eventful race in of its own right. Not in terms of caution counts. It was a relatively low caution count, but it was a very high rate of battles we were having. I mean, you could not break away. Teamwork was so important today. We heard Kyle Labrie was mentioning at the end of that race just how he thought that the way you had to work with your teammates at the fast 1.5 miles would really play in the front line strength as a team so far. We haven't really seen them give that much presence, though, in this Tucson Sound Art Cup Series, which could open up the door for some teams like G&G to take the crown back to the top. Of course, defending champion Chris Johnson comes into this race, started 7th. He's 15th, a lap down. At the moment, you got G&G drivers in 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, but you've also got brand new driver Ryan Cliver out in front. It is worth noting he has been getting some major jumps off of these restarts. That 16 car could prove to be a big threat for Johnson's title.
Yeah, it's still a little early though to start singing his praises. I mean, this is going to turn out to be a heavyweight battle. I mean, these guys are going to go at it as we get ready to take the green flag again. Good luck.
It'll be 12 laps to go in stage number 1 by the time we take this green flag. Cliver is 1st place, Powell 2nd, Wyszynski 3rd, Severa 4th, Grossi 5th, Hamilton rounds out your top 6. So Logan Hamilton, curious what he's going to be able to do. He's still got a wounded car after losing both front and rear clip in that initial wreck, but he's doing good to put himself towards the top 5. Green flag drops. We're back underway here from Phoenix, and once again, Cliver with a great launch. Powell side by side with Wachinski, and behind, Severa tucking in line, almost rear-ending Powell into turn number 1. Will they go 3 abreast with Grossi on the bottom? They're going to try for it. Grossi can't get the hammer down in time, so Severa pushing up. Going to be side by side with Kenny Powell in a drag race out of turn number 3. Trouble behind. Barrick Uphold has blown his motor back in the field. The 92 car slowing down into turn number 3 with some major technical difficulties and mechanical problems on his Strickland propane machines.
Yeah, that Strickland propane car seen better days. They did everything they could to try to get it going again, but unfortunately, like I said, you don't need the aero, but you got to protect the power plant.
And unfortunately, you see no front clip is collected in that lap 1. Big one. Looks like the damage finally got the better of him. Blew the motor out of turn 2 last time by. He'll be coasting that around pit road. No caution to keep this thing under green flag conditions. Wachinski is broken away from Chris Severa for second place, while Powell has dropped back to 4th. They're trying to run down Ryan Cliver up the road now, but so far nobody's been able to contend with that number 16 Penske 4.
Well, right now he is proving himself to be the car to beat, as he said in the blistering pace coming around that last lap, just being at 27, almost 27 flat. So yeah, he is still 27.291. He is still the car to beat though.
Kenny Powell looking low this time by on Chris Severa. Under 10 laps to go. That's the battle for 3rd. Single file all the way throughout this field so far. Nobody making any really drastic moves thus far. Got battles everywhere you look all over the track at the moment. You've also got this growing battle more for second place than for anything. You've also got a little ways further back, the battle for the final spot in the stage points between 10th and 11th place alone with Mario Labinta and Don Avery. Entering turn number 1 this time by. Meanwhile, Severa made the dive in turn 1. Work on Greg Wachinski. Wachinski has fallen to 3rd place now. Really tried to cut back really deep on brakes into turn 3. That's only going to cost him, though, in the long run.
Yeah, look at Wayne Grassi as he's slowly making his way up into the top 5. Those guys started somewhere around 14th, I believe, or 16th. So that's awesome that they've been able to actually get a run and get up here a little bit to the front.
The question is, does Chris Severa have anything for Cliver just up the road, half a second up from him? I don't think he necessarily will. We are 6 laps to go in this opening stage with the Charles Shaw 156 in Avondale, Arizona at the Phoenix Raceway. But so far, Severa has not been able to put the hammer down as much as he might like to try to run down that number 16. We talked about how this next-gen car could potentially shake up the running order a little bit at the head of these things, especially since this is now confirmed to be the car of choice for this Tucson Sound Art Cup Series season. And I think just take one look at the running order, I think that's pretty evident just how big of an impact it's had.
Yeah, absolutely. But, you know, we've sat side by side on plenty of Saturday nights and had the guy lead and be the stage winner only to not be found to come to that final stage. So I think this is going to be one of those races that's be the same way as these guys start to figure out their equipment. They finally got some laps now to be able to get back in there under this stage caution, make any adjustments that they can, and figure out who's going to actually put themselves up front later in the stage and preserve their tires. I think that's going to be the thing. We already know what the fuel's going to be. How long you can make these tires last.
LaPinta side by side with Joshua Connor. That is a lap car, it is worth noting. The battle for position just up the road for 9th and 10th. Don Avery, Robert Pattengale looking to go at it into turn number 3. Oh, a checkup for Pattengale is going to maybe give a bit of a nudge further back to Joshua O'Connor. And up the road from them, you can see Gary Adamson looking to break away a little bit from this battle for 9th place just in behind. And Adamson running a very unique paint scheme, I think it's worth noting. It's a Mustang cosplaying as a Dodge Charger, for looks of things.
Might not be too far off for a good Halloween costume, but I think there might be some rumblings of a Charger rolling into NASCAR sometime in the near future. 17, something's going on with these guys. I'm trying to figure out what it is, but it seems like they're even off the pace. Whether they're having technical issues or tire issues, I'm not sure. But yeah, they're definitely falling off the pace.
Final lap just getting started from stage number 1, and Severa has caught Ryan Cliver. Will there be a move for the stage 1 victory coming around through 1 and 2 for the final time? Look at Severa with the charge around the outside line, trying to enter high, exit low, diving it off the corner, has the run down the back straightaway, looking low. Is it gonna be enough? Don't think it will. Coming around through 3 and 4, Cliver will weather the storm. Here comes Severa, runs out of road though, and Ryan Cliver will win the opening stage in the Charles Shaw 156.
And now he's definitely glad that first stage is over, because, you know, Severa, his car is the car to beat. You know, he did qualify on the pole. He put down the fastest laps in practice. So, yeah, definitely going to be interesting to see how stage 2 unfolds.
And with stage 1 at a close, we'll take a quick step away, and we'll be back with stage 2 in just a few moments. Pit stops underway from Phoenix. Cliver led them down. Will he also be the one to lead them off? He has got Chris Vera just tucked in behind. And so far, no dramas for anybody in pit road just yet. And for Cliver in his box, Severa misses it though. How about Mario LaPinta already out and gone, but he missed his pit stall. He'll have to come in and go around again. And at the end of the day, I believe it was Robert Pangale to lead them all out of pit road, except he also missed his pit box deeper in the field. So I believe out of the drivers that actually managed to make their box, Cliver was still the first one to lead them off.
And just like that, Chris Johnson finds himself back at the tail end of the lead lap. He was actually able to receive that lucky dog, get himself back on the lead lap. So hopefully these guys were able to get that G&G 48 car running. He might be able to find himself to be up in the top of the leaderboard sometime in the near future.
While points are not being scored, it is worth noting that there has been a bit of a revamp in how the points are being divvied out, and that it puts a much bigger emphasis on how important those stages are. Back in this first ever season where we had the stages, the rule was 5 points for the stage winner, 4.5 for second, 4 for third, 3.5 for fourth, so on and so forth, down to 10th, who gets half a point. That has been changed for this coming up season here, Al. Now it is 10 points if you win stage 1, 9 for second, 8 for third, 10th place gets 1, just as NASCAR does it. So the points haul you can get from these stages is significantly bigger, and that means these drivers are going to have to put those stages, I think, more towards the front of their minds when they're trying to go for good results and good points hauls in these races.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not going to afford drivers the opportunity to sit back and kind of rest on their haunches. You're going to want to be up front at the end of the stage. I love it. I think the incentive should be there to make the end of those stages just as exciting as the end of the race, because that's the whole point of it. So, awesome rule change.
Pace car looking to go 1 to go this time by maybe, which will make it 25 to go in stage 2 and take the green. It is going to be 1 to green this time by. Kozlowski and O'Connor both stayed out to get the wave around. That puts Kozlowski 9 down. O'Connor is now 2 down on the boards. You still have 14 out of the 20 cars that are set to start this race on the lead lap. Only 19 have actually started this race so far. And in total, you have got yourself 2 DNFs on the day, with 17 cars still remaining on track. So 1 to green this time by Cliver. Won stage 1, but Severa was charging him down. Do you think he'll be able to take it in stage 2 as well?
Yeah, I think Severa's going to be he's going to be the bully. I mean, that's I would just say it out front. I don't think he's going to let the new kid come in here and hog up the good candy. So be interesting to see how aggressive he gets on this restart. But I think he's definitely going to be aggressive.
Entering 3 and 4, Powell on the outside of the Penske number 16, out and away, and Ryan Cliver with a good launch. Here comes Severa, charging from the bottom side. Powell caught napping side by side for the race lead into turn number 1 with Chris Severa looking to take it away early now on fresh rubber. Well, Ryan Cliver also got those fresh tires. How will the outside line play on defense when they got to speed? Crash behind the 11 car into the inside wall, taking the Charger Mustang Hybrid with it. And Richard Elliott just barely avoiding Don Avery as he took a spin. And I tell you what, the 0-2 will need to change his race trousers after that one. Just barely avoiding that race. And Logan Hamilton at the start of this one, the 11 got loose and Hamilton just finished him off at the number 12.
Yeah, the 11, he found himself trying to wait on those tires somewhere in between warm and dorm, and next thing you know, the 12 car just kind of comes up and just, patience, guys. That's what's going to happen, especially on restarts. Cautions breed cautions, but unfortunately, it only involved really a couple of cars, so we'll be able to get that 11 car at least patched back up and back out there. So
now, I will come to Logan Hamilton's defense here and say that Avery was already loose, unprovoked. So Avery got loose and had to check out as a result. Hamilton just couldn't react to that in time. I mean, when you're going this fast, it's very hard to do anything. So there was not a whole lot that Hamilton could do in that type of situation. Adamson got into big time as well. He's altered down to pit road. Richard Elliott at the same time in his JBR Chevrolet just scraped through that by the skin of his teeth. It was very, very intense for this restart, and I think the caution count has been a bit higher than I think we would have liked to see. We're now on 5 cautions of the day, and so far, we're not even 40 laps in, so we're averaging about 1 yellow flag about every 7 laps here, Al, and that is very unlike a traditional ISCA race.
Well, this is a Saturday night non-points event, so maybe that has something to do with it. But I think the biggest thing is that guys are actually able to get out there and get some laps running, turning, and trying to figure out where the soft spots and the good spots are on this racetrack. Plenty of racing room, plenty of racing going on. Just it's one of those things where you're going to be up front, you're going to be in the back, you're going to be in the middle. There's just no safe place to be on this racetrack unless I think you're just like that number 1 car.
And already the field wants to go, right? You see them stacked up and doubled up. We're still 2 to green here. I think that really goes to show just how anxious they are to get this race back underway. It is worth noting that latest caution as well now puts O'Connor at 1 down. LaPinta still 2 down as well. I believe he might have gotten 1 back under this latest caution, but he has taken his number 13 machine down to pit road as well. So could potentially be mistaken on that front. Wait anxiously to see if it will be 1 to green this time by, which would make it 20 laps to go in stage 2. When we take this green flag once again, with second stage coming to a close at the end of lap number 60, across start finish, lights are out. 1 to green this time by.
Chris Severa getting set to lead this diminishing field on yet another restart. Hopefully this one will actually find everybody where they need to be and we can get the green flag race laps in.
Now this will be interesting. Cliver has led a majority of the restarts in this race. This will be Severa's first that he's going to get to lead off and away. Will he also play the strategy of Ryan Cliver and launch as soon as he hits the restart zone, or will he opt to wait just a little bit longer to see if he could potentially bring Wachinski with him?
Now don't forget, Severa did actually spin out on a restart that he was leading early on.
That's what gave Cliver the ability to lead the remainder of our restarts. Into the restart zone, Severa is off and away. The outside line did not go, and Severa is well and truly clear. Wachinski clear for second. Here comes Brian Watson looking to challenge for third. Down the inside of Ryan Cliver for third place. Kenny Powell just tucked in line for fourth. In behind, trying to follow suit, and Adrian Watts is going to be tucked just in behind these guys as well for the sixth position. Powell still battling around the outside line of one Brian Watson, but I think Brian Watson would just get the leg up on him and take it through turn 4.
In the water, you know, Severa, he actually put himself in the back, but he clawed his way all the way back up to the front. So I definitely think these guys are going to start to get their elbows out a little bit here so they can get up some track position and start to stretch this thing out a little bit.
And Brian Watson looking to charge outside line. Watch the wall, though. Getting a bit close for comfort with that outside wall. Brian Watson is able to hang tough with it, though. Looks with the inside of Powell this time by into turn 1. No dice. Ryan Cliver side by side with Wachinski just on the road for second place. The number 5 really pinching into 16 out of turn number 2, and Cliver is going to have to try that move again, this time around through 3 and 4, which Jesus did a good job on defense, right? Pinch him in, take the run away. Oh, and that almost sends Cliver outside wall of turn 4.
That was a very wide line that he actually took. Very interesting line as he's trying to, it seems like he's trying to maybe break that up a little bit, but try to find himself to get a good run off of the turn. But Cliver definitely, he's falling back a little bit. I don't think he's actually keeping the pressure that he wanted to on Wachinski and Severa. It's good to see Wachinski actually coming up front too, because you know he was in the back a little bit. So good racing going on for those guys as well in that G&G Monster 5.
And Ryan Cliver, can he get the charge? Looks like he might have a run down the back straightaway into turn 3, but it's not going to be enough. Oh, Wachinski chopping across the nose at the 16 into turn 3. That scares Cliver really out wide and allows Kenny Powell to mount defensive in his gas and go. Toyota Camry number 24 entry down the bottom side through the dogleg and into turn 1. Cliver now is struggling just to hang on to the podium spots.
He said early on in this race, and it's about teamwork. So these G&G teammates are not going to give this guy an inch. I mean, they're going to give him the business. Is what they're going to do. Is these guys are trying to get themselves a clean sweep. Would it be a 1, 2, and 3? Right? Isn't that what they're going for? You think?
I don't see why you wouldn't. If you have the ability to do it, may as well get all 3 teammates up on the podium. It looks good for the team, and it certainly will boost your morale going into the regular season race as well. But with how good Ryan Cliver was throughout all of stage 1, he might well have something to say about it, but you saw the bobble out of turn number 2. And that almost, I think Cliver did scrape the outside wall, but not enough to really give him any kind of damage with it. And just behind Powell now you see Brian Watson, Adrian Watts both looking to close in. Potentially a JBR duo looking to gang up on Powell.
Yeah, this is one of those times where if you don't have a teammate or dance partner, man, you're starting to feel a little lonely out there. You know, you're looking in the rearview mirror and there's nothing but Keith. So I can understand how Cliver feels, man. He's kind of in Indian country, so to speak.
And now Brian Watson is going to go with Kenny Powell, not often to take the line from the dog. But I think that's what's really, really interesting about these next-gen cars, right? Beforehand, you would see pretty much everybody going down, cutting that dog. Like, you do it so easily in these Gen 6 cars. But with how the tire wear is and the aerodynamics work on these Gen 7 cars, it's a much bigger question because you can lose so much more speed when you go down onto the dog, especially since with the pit wall there, you can't cut nearly as much. A slide for Brian Watson will see him lose out on a spot to his teammate Adrian Watts. But all of this kind of makes me wonder, right, if we're only going to be seeing people going down below that dog if they're trying to go for an overtake.
Yeah, I know. And this track wasn't designed for that to be an option, but you know, these guys are going to turn everything they can into a race surface. So it's going to be interesting to see how the splitter and the diffuser on the next gen cars work as far as going down there into that, because that's a pretty violent transition, isn't it, when those cars come across the end turn like that?
It's a pretty severe transition to the point where when IndyCar ever comes running here, they're not even allowed to use that dog leg. They actually have rules that prohibit them from going on down there because it is such a big race to cars that are at a higher speeds. These stock cars are allowed to do it, well, because they've got the ability to do so. I mean, they are light brakes. You can throw anything at them, and for the most part, they'll be able to take it in stride.
Yeah, and 5 gears, though. What do you think about that? You know, do you need 5 gears at a short track? That's one thing that has just really kind of got my mind kind of spinning around there. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
I think a good thought on that would be to just look at what the drivers are doing inside the cars, and you look on board with Grabowczyński. They are downshifting in 4th gear, and then they actually upshift 5th and almost ping off the rev limiter. You ride on board the 5 car now. Watch this, through the dogleg. There he is, shifts up into 5th place, almost hitting that rev limiter, actually redlines it into turn 1 before having a downshift mid-corner turn 4 again. I honestly like this, Al, because this means they are able to get such a much of a better run off of these corners. The higher revs means that they can accelerate a little bit quicker, as opposed to if they have just 1/4 gear to use and they'd be a bit more sluggish out of the corners.
Yeah, and we and I racing are going to have to follow suit as even the real teams start to kind of try to figure out what their shifter box configurations are going to be and just how much NASCAR is going to allow them to change, because, you know, 5 gears on this track. I mean, because even the trucks, you know, with 4 speed sometimes are even downshifting in the 3rd gear. So it just makes it all phenomenal. Just, you know, great, exciting to watch and learn.
Kenny Powell has caught Tucson now through turns 3 and 4. Will he go for the move on G&G team? It looks like he will. Cut into the bottom of the dog leg. Trying to make a side-by-side in turn 1, and it is door-to-door. Jinski's backing off early, going to allow Kenny Powell to have that spot into turn number 1. And now 5 laps to go in stage number 2, and this stage starting to draw to its close. And at that point, we're going to have to start thinking pit strategy, right? Because that's when the fuel's going to come into question. About 60 laps these guys can run on 1 tank.
Yeah, and the thing about this track, a green flag pit stop is almost going to guarantee you the opportunity to go a lap down. So it's going to be interesting to see if guys are going to, you know, like Wojcinski, how are they going to gamble? Or they're going to actually take a shot at there being a late race penalty, or are they actually going to go ahead and live and die by that fuel mileage? It's just going to be interesting to see how this is going to play out, you know, as we go on into this final stage.
With all of this in mind, defending champion Chris Johnson has been trying to claw his way back through the field after he found himself a couple laps down as a result of that stage 1 yellow. And now Chris Johnson catching up to the back end of one Logan Hamilton of the Tucson Sound Art DSR number 12, trying to see if he can power out of turn number 2 to hold on to that 8th position as we take 3 to go. In stage number 2, the number 12 car having to really struggle a little bit here, trying to keep the 48 at bay. And I think the only thing that's helping Hamilton at the moment is the fact that Johnson doesn't have a front clip, so he's got to drive a bit more conservatively.
Yeah, especially on that open modified that he's sporting here tonight. You know, a lot of aero going on for him, keeping himself cool, but I can see up his skirt.
Hamilton's doing a good job on diamonding off these corners as well, making sure that he doesn't leave with Johnson too much of a room to go. Pit road closed this time by with 2 laps to go now in stage number 2. We continue to watch this battle for 8th and 9th place develop. And I have a feeling that Hamilton would just be able to hang on to that one at the stripe.
Looks like he's just going to have just enough to keep old Johnson at bay. So as we come up to the end of this stage, let's go. We got some stage pit stops getting ready to happen, and it's going to be interesting to see how everybody lines up, gets set, and takes off.
Chris Severas rounding the circuit for the final time in stage number 2 here at the end of lap number 60. It's been a good run so far for the number 62 Aflac Ford Mustang, and he is looking set to charge right back and win stage number 2. So a rookie won the 2nd stage, but that rookie will now be second as Severa wins the 2nd stage of the night.
Yeah, he wins it handily too, with almost a 3-second gap there. So Severa had proven that he definitely does have a car that's going to be in contention with this thing. But Claver is just putting up that he's not no slouch either. I think he's going to be in it to win it, and always those G&G teammates, it's going to be interesting to see how they stack up in and roll through this thing here as we get ready for this last stage.
So second competition yellow on the night from here. It is going to be either madness or potential fuel strategies later on in this race. Let's take another step back, and we'll be back with more in just a few moments. Underway, Severo led them down, and this time not overshooting his pit stall as he did in stage number 1. He will lead the way out of pit road. He will maintain that race lead here in stage number 2 on the night. So, with that in mind, let's see if we cannot potentially dial up your stage 2 winner for us on the night. Chris Severo, this is Nolan Rempel up at the broadcast booth. Got a copy?
Hey, I got you.
Well, you finished second behind a rookie in stage number 1, but 2, you finally got the best of him, managed to take that stage 2 victory. How does it feel for you out there at the moment?
Yeah, Ryan was real quick out there. Unfortunately, had the mishap of spinning, which absolutely nobody saw, and absolutely no one's going to clip that. But yeah, once we got back up there behind Ryan, Ryan really had a good amount of pace, and surprisingly, the dirty air is extremely relevant here when you're that close to somebody. So I'm really gonna have to like work the lines if it comes to that again, but hopefully it doesn't. We can just stay up front here, and but other than that, car feels good.
Yeah, any plans in particular to make sure that you can keep Cliver at bay, especially considering you've got 2 G&G teammates right behind you?
No, nothing real special. Just it's such a long restart zone here. We're limiting ourselves tonight to that restart box, so just hopefully we don't spin it again. Just going to be extra cautious about that. Get it into gear, get going. We're probably going to try and go longer than everybody else, just because the fall off within like the first 10-12 laps on new tires is just so much. I feel like we got the long run car here, so if we can stay out and get the tire advantage, I think we'll be golden here.
So some drivers opted for undercuts, potentially an overcut for you guys in the G&G camp then. Before I let you go then, Chris, anybody you'd like to shout out for that G&G number 62?
I really appreciate Rocket Racing for giving us a very strong base to start out this week. Everybody in G&G, we put in like 4 or 5 hours right before tonight's race to get this thing dialed in, to get it where it is. Again, you guys, as always, for putting on a great show.
And thank you, Chris, for taking the time to join us here tonight. Best of luck in the rest of the race.
Thanks, guys.
Well, you heard it there first, Dale. Potentially thinking about going long. They think they got the long run car to do it. What's your take on it?
It's just interesting to hear his take on the tires and the dirty air. Those are the 2 things that we had talked about. So, if he's saying those are things that are big factors, it's definitely going to be interesting.
Of course, some minor issues for Ryan Cliver and his pit stop. Finds himself starting 6th now as opposed to 2nd where he was at the end of stage number 2. So started for stage 3 already. Cliver's on the back foot, and he's got a lot of guys he's got to work through up in front. For Chris Severo, though, about to enter that Geico restart box. Oh, and he spins again out of the lead. This time doesn't force a yellow, but that is the 2nd mistake in a row this time around. Severo tumbles through the order. That makes it side-by-side between G&G teammates Rutinsky and Powell for the lead through 1 and 2. A disastrous restart, though, for Severo.
He has got to be kicking himself in the throttle for that one, as he just commented that, hopefully no one was actually paying attention to, but then he does the same thing again. It's just got to be a testament of just how tricky these cars are on the restart.
Adrian Watts looking to pressure. Oh, caution flies deeper in the field, and Logan Hamilton has had a spin out of turn number 4. And the last few times we've seen Hamilton involved in incidents, it has usually been with some assistance. Is it same verse, or second verse, same as the first this time around for the number 12 Tucson Soundart DSR Chevrolet coming around through 3 and 4? Doesn't have anybody coming up from behind. I think this might have been self-inflicted, and in fact it was. Lost the power and cold tires coming around through the corner.
Yeah, that's just so unfortunate for these guys. You know, and we talked about tires because the Gen 7 car versus the Gen 6 car, we were able to go longer. The tires, for whatever reason, it just seemed like they didn't burn off as fast. But it seems like tonight, drivers are just having a hard time on cold tires as well as a hard time on old tires. And even Severa saying that that's possibly going to pay into his strategy, having a car that's actually set up for a longer run. So I think it's just going to be interesting to see how this all plays out.
So under the caution period for the 7th time tonight, currently 13 cars on the lead lap, total of 15 still racing. 4 others have retired from this race, with Olsen being marked as it did not start in tonight's race. Wachinski leads from Powell. Adrian Watts did not manage to get Powell for second place. Cliver already back up to 4th, looking to continue to mount that charge for the lead. Grossi rounds out your top 5. Let's take one more quick step away. We'll be back in a moment. Pace car down and in. We get set to go racing once more from the Venus Raceway from Avondale, Arizona. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. You're just joining us to the preseason race of the Ironton Stock Car Association Tucson Soundart Cup Series. We get set to do it all over again. Wachinski, your leader. Powell, second. Watts, third. Cliver, fourth. Grossi, fifth. Brian Watson rounds out your top 3 rows. And Greg Wachinski is going to take us back to the green.
As Wachinski takes the race lead, this running order does not in any way constitute the way this race is going. A lot of things have shuffled up. We've got Severa, who's actually his own worst enemy, so to speak, in the 12 car, struggling to get out of his own way a couple of times as well. But way to go. Shout out to Ryan Cliver, new rookie driver that's doing very well, making a name for himself here in this ISCA series.
Started 6th at the start of stage 3. An early caution season with the potential to work his way up into 4th place. And Powell messes up with Adrian Watts here. Almost did so. Now Powell chasing Watts off the track. Caution flies again. And Hamilton again with the wreck. Outside wall for the second time in about 7 lap span. Hamilton's down and parking his car. I believe he is going to be done for the night. So looking back at the number 12 car of Logan Hamilton that kicked off caution flag number 2 on the night. So unfortunate for him, and I'm a bit surprised this was a yellow, but iRacing has deemed it so. Once again, losing it all by himself out, this time on corner entry. First time we've seen that all race tonight.
Well, I think they went back at the tape and realized there was a wall they hadn't hit, so I think they just took care of that for that team tonight.
Hey.
Well, here we go. Yeah, cautions. That's definitely been the word for this event here tonight. So drivers are going to start to now actually start to look and see maybe if they can stretch that out a little bit. So you're going to have the guys that are going to be trying to go to longer runs, guys trying to go to shorter runs. It's just the options, that's what's happening right now. What are your thoughts?
I think, to be honest, it could prove to be a bit of an interesting event as this race goes along, right? The options are going to be developing, ebbing, and flowing throughout the course of this race, and one way to see how that's all going to play out is, well, to wait and see how it will play out in this race. At this point, it's a bit of a toss was how this race could pan out. I've been listening into the driver chat, and remember how we mentioned that Chris Rivera spun twice coming to the green flag, and, well, he was just mentioning he thinks he found the problem, and I'll just say the Cliff Notes version, as it turns out, started in first gear. Not the best idea.
Not since, 1972, I believe.
Well, you got to try some things, right? It's a preseason race. No points being logged, so I can respect it.
Yeah, I think that was probably more of an inadvertent forgot to shift to second restart. But, yeah, first gear is not going to be your friend pretty much anywhere here unless you're just coming out of the pits.
Our under the caution period may as well look over as to how this first actual 2022 season is going to be panned out for us. We kick things off at Atlanta Motor Speedway, and first week after that is obviously we're taking off for the Christmas holiday, especially with Saturday falling right on a Christmas Day. When we come back, though, how about Talladega Super Speedway for round number 2? Round 3 will hold us at Rockingham Speedway. Got Texas Motor Speedway for round 4. Round 5 brings us to Gateway at the Worldwide Technology Raceway for there. It's North Wilkesboro, Kentucky. The NASCAR Road Course at Daytona will kick off around number 8. And then, of course, you get the season opener as well for the Super Cup Series season, which will kick off at Daytona International Speedway. Auto Club Vegas going to round out Cup Series season number 1 of 2021. So it could be quite the action-packed season coming up for us here for the first season of 2022.
Absolutely, with 21 drivers in the lineup tonight. I mean, this Tucson Cup Series is definitely proving itself the place to be on Saturday nights as we get ready to go back into some racing. Wondering what's going on with Cliver there as these guys kind of shuffled themselves back into the 10th position. Don't know if they came down on pit road, maybe got a little splash and go. I'm not sure what happened. Did you happen to see anything?
Nothing in particular. I know Al Kozlowski was just down to pit road getting some damage fixed up. And we've also got Ryan Cliver that came down to pit road. 15-second stop for him. 18-second stop, actually. So Cliver definitely took 4 tires of fuel at the very least. Chris Johnson, Richard Elliott, both, I believe, taking either 2 tires with a 7-second stop for Elliott or fuel only for Chris Johnson on a 4.8 second pit stop under this latest caution period as we get set to go back green. Wojcinski leads them down in the way. We're back underway for the Charles Shaw 200 at the Phoenix Raceway. How about Severa charging to the inside? Oh, it's a huge wreck in the background. 2 cars slam the outside wall. Pattengill's involved. Richard Elliott slams into the mix, and it was Ryan Cliver that just destroyed the 17 car on the restart. We talked about Cliver getting set for a solid run tonight, but watch this as he murders Pattingale here in the dogleg.
Yeah, not sure what he saw or didn't see, but definitely an unfortunate run for that 17 car. They're definitely not going to be happy about that one.
And well, we find ourselves under caution yet again on board with Cliver here. Did he see Pattingale? He saw him at the point where it would have been too late to do anything about it, but when you're that far alongside, your spotter would have been calling, car inside. Doesn't matter if that's iRacing or a physical spotter or whatnot. I mean, you have to realize that you got somebody on your inside. You can't just turn down on someone like that. I mean, you're on the dogleg, yes, but all the same, I mean, that's egregious.
Yeah, but the easiest way I can explain it is like being a pilot stuck in the clouds, and all of a sudden, you get that spot where it's clear blue 22. That's what you see at this racetrack. You just see air and opportunity, but if you're not looking or listening, it's going to be somebody probably on your left and right side just instantaneously. So you got to have your head on a swivel when it comes to restarts, especially on this track, because there are so many lines. And guys, just like we saw Severa, where he's diving down on that inside, that's going to happen. So unfortunate turn of events for that 17 car, but yeah, you're absolutely right. Cliver just clobbered him.
And Wyszynski will lead them back down to pit road. Severa stays out. He'll take the race lead away. So that means Wyszynski could potentially find himself being the first of these drivers on the fresher rubber in this field.
So far, I mean, we're 9 cautions for 34 laps. That speaks volumes about what's been going on here tonight.
It's got to be one of the more this has got to be one of the more higher ranked races in terms of cautions in ISCA history, I'd have to reckon at this point.
And these cars, I mean, they are seemingly so much easier to drive and control. I mean, that's what I had actually thought coming into this. Was thinking that it was probably going to be a lot of green flag runs, and we've actually seen quite the opposite. We are starving for green flag runs. I mean, I think that's what we need right now.
I'm at a bit of a loss for words at this point, right? I mean, this is a league where we are so used to seeing, some phenomenal racing, some clean racing, some of the longest green flag run that you could possibly find yourself. And, I mean, it's almost fallen apart. I mean, at Phoenix here tonight, I mean, you look at just this latest stretch of runs alone, and I mean, you haven't gone more than 3 laps under green since that green flag drop back at stage 2 on lap 40.
Yeah, it seems like, tires. Everybody's like, that guy always says tires, but we're having a lot of problems on cold tires.
They just need to find some space, right, to put themselves up in front. And I mean, I think the bigger shame about it is there have been a few incidents, most notably this last one. It could have been avoided, right? I mean, we're not close to the end of this race yet. We're just over halfway. There's a long way to go yet.
Lots of racing to go as Chris Severa takes the green flag. Chris Johnson actually making him way back up into that front row, making him way back. Hey, help me out here.
Foul at the inside of Wyszynski and Avery. Chris Johnson falling back from third. The number 48 car, I think, has some overheating difficulties for himself. You see him really slow out of turn number 2. He's got no front clip on that car. And remember what we saw earlier in this race with Bear Guppold after he was collected in that stage 1 lap 1 wreck. Blew his motor about 17 laps in. So I think at this point, Chris Johnson's just having to back up these corners big time. Just with overheating. Look at Watson trying to throw it to the inside of Wayne Grossi into the corner. chasing Don Avery as well, looking for 3 wide out of turn 2. Not going to happen this time around. Wayne Grossi trying to pounce on the number 11 car for 5th place. Oh, Avery's going to get dumped into the corner, taken out by Joshua O'Connor. The mistakes continue to pile on.
I don't know how much of that was actually was in control racing. It seems like some of these cars are just a little bit out of control as we have a car sliding down on the into the infield wall.
It's making you pull your hair out just watching. I mean, there's been so much attrition throughout the course of the night, and we can only hope that it cleans out before the rest of this race comes to a close. You don't want to be left with a race that there's only got about 4 cars left in it. And further back, Brian Watson trying to battle with Wayne Grossi for 5th place at the moment. The JBR number 84 Mustang starting to charge at the back of the Pennzoil Chevrolet of Wayne Grossi, this time with a switchback through 1 and 2. That's how we like to see a pass completed, and Brian Watson going to go through and break his way back into the top 5.
As Chris Severa is definitely going to try to make his way back up front.
And Frank Flores, the shake and bake number 28 car, I think has finally had enough. Down to pit road. It was already 1 lap down, and this time just taking it in, and it might be done at this point for the night. He's been laps down since the start of this race. He was collected in that lap 1, big one that collected about half of the field really early in this race. Up front, Chris Severa still leads from Adrian Watts. Grebuchinski is 3rd. Powell is trying to close up to his G&G teammate, but it has not been the best of runs at the moment for Powell to try to get back up into some podium positions. And from there, it's about another 2 seconds back all the way to Brian Watson in 5th.
Yeah, I think Flores was actually, he was one of the guys that actually come down and hit that inside wall, putting a little bit more damage on that shake and bake 28, so hopefully they'll be able to get that thing patched up and be able to get back out here and get some laps running. Severa is definitely doing what he came to do, though. He's been his own worst enemy, but it seems like now he's out front, he's stretching his legs, and if his pit strategy works out for him, it's his to lose.
And now you can see Severa starting to lose a little bit of time to Adrian Watts as well in the 08 JBR Chevy. Now this is a bit of a surprise to me to see Severa starting to lose quite a bit of time back to Adrian Watts. Considering you look at Watts, no rear clip on that car. You'd think that would be hindering Watts in his charge to go for the lead, but he's only been closing in. Chris Severa just this last lap by 1 1/4 tenths quicker than the 62 machine. So what do you think is the cause of that? Do you think Severa's just backing off that much, trying to make that car go the distance?
Yes, Severa's absolutely saving his tires at this point. I mean, that's been his plan. He said that there was going to come a time where they were just going to kind of back off and just try to hold off and just outrun everybody, essentially. And I think that's what he's going to try to do. He's going to try to stay out, save his tires, keep a comfortable lead, and be available at this thing for the end.
Take a quick look top to bottom throughout your entire running order of the cars that are left, of which there are not too many at this point in time. Chris Severa is still your race leader with Adrian Watts and Greg Wyszynski both trying to threaten for that race lead as well. You've got Powell in 4th, Watson 5th. Grossi is 6th with Chris Johnson 7th. Joshua O'Connor is 8th. Avery, last driver on the lead lap. Richard Elliott is 10th with Flores now out of this race in 11th. Kozlowski's 12th as the last running car on track, making it a total of 11. For there you got Pat Gale, Cliver, Hamilton, Adamson, Lapinta, Uphold, Schaffner, and Olsen, all marked as DNFs on this race tonight. Really putting big emphasis on the attrition rate that this beautiful 1 mile facility in Avondale has really had on everybody tonight.
I mean, from the green flag, we've seen cars flying all over the place. I mean, literally and figuratively. So, if this is any indicator of what we can expect for the remainder of the season or the season coming up, I think it's going to be some interesting racing. Looks like there's quite a few growing curves. I didn't personally think that there was such a huge curve on these new cars, but with 9 cautions into this thing so far, I think that that's something that remains to be seen.
Just checking over some of my notes here at the moment. Of course, it is about 60 laps that you have to make under one fuel run. We're coming to 60 laps to go this next time by, which obviously will open up the window for drivers to come on down to pit road to get that final stop finished on the night. And so far, Chris Severa is the driver most at threat from this. He has spent the most time out there on track. He's been out there for 33 laps. Everybody else has only been out there for 15. Now, everybody's going to have to make another pit stop. That much is clear. But Severa's going to have to come down a heck of a lot sooner. Do you reckon that might present some unwanted challenges for Severa to work with?
It depends on how well he can maintain his car and his tires for that last long run. If he's going to run hard, it's not going to work out for him in the long run. But if he can actually get in, come out, and have a cushion where he doesn't have to drive the tires off of it, I think that'll work out in his favor. It's just all going to depend on where he lines up on the track.
I think traffic management could prove to be a pretty big factor as well. I mean, of course, Severa, I think it's safe to say, is quicker than a majority of the guys out there at the moment. So if he comes out in a lot of clean air, that's going to be great news for the number 62 Aflac Mustang. But if he finds himself coming out in the midst of a bunch of traffic that's on older tires, it could be a very different story. Richard Elliott going a lap down now, staying way up on the outside wall of 3 and 4. Just letting your leaders through without a fuss.
Yeah, and another thing that Severa said too is that the dirty air being a huge factor. So, which it just kind of makes me wonder what's happening with Adrian Watt's car, because the diffuser in that rear clip, that's a pretty big part of this aero package. So I'm sitting here scratching my head on this one, just kind of seeing how it plays out.
The lap counter ticks over into triple digits for the first time tonight. It'll be 56 laps to go at the line, and so far, single file throughout the field. The only real battle is between Watts and Wachinski at the moment, with Powell still looking to try to threaten those podium drivers for some potential extra spots before this first preseason race is over. I think at this point, the damage has set into the point where now nobody can really keep up with each other except for this top grouping, right? I mean, everybody's damaged to such a degree. I mean, I'm looking around and I see Kenny Powell is clean, but apart from that, I don't really see any clean car out there. Severa's also got a clean car, so it's Powell and Severa, the only cars without any damage on course at the moment.
And I think we're going to get closer and closer to the green flag pit stops here. Eventually, people are going to have to start to come in, because if they don't, they're going to find themselves getting looser and looser. That's one of the things about these tires. If they fall off, like Severa said, the fall off is substantial. So, going to be interesting to see who is going to come in first. But I do believe that we are in the window.
Wachinski's caught Adrian Watts, and you saw him look for the inside that time by into 3 and 4. Tried the dive bomb, didn't quite work out, and Wachinski going to scrape the outside wall out of turn 4 as well, and just like that, loses out on all the time he just spent reeling in Adrian Watts up the road. Still has time, though, to get that spot. He's trying to carry so much speed, though, around the outside of these corners. I think that is really starting to hinder that Monster Energy G&G Chevrolet in his efforts to try to go for second place.
Yeah, Wachinski, though, he would definitely be, if you're talking about a gambling odds-on favorite. These guys have been able to do more with gambling probably any other team that we've got on the track today. So if he's finding himself in third position with this few laps to go, then that just might be something that we should also keep an eye on.
So as we watch this battle for second, third, and fourth continue to develop, why don't we ride on board with Kenny Powell for a few laps? And we'll get a view of the number 24 G&G's driver from the Toyota Camry. Let's take a quick step away. Greg Wyszynski starting to lose some serious ground with the guys up in front. You saw Kenny Powell make the pass while we're on board for those few laps, and Brian Watson just poked his way through for fourth as well. And well, on cue here, Al, Greg Wyszynski coming down pit road, the first taker for green flag pit stops we've seen all race.
Yeah, it was just going to be a matter of time as these tires continue to wear out. Like I said, you know, drivers are going to have to figure out how they want to do this. Do you want it more on the front end, or do you want it more on the back end? But you can't have both.
So Wyszynski comes into pit road, and now I think the question is going to be, is anybody else going to follow him in? So far, that has not been the case here tonight. And Wyszynski finally realized he was losing too much time on the old rubber, wanted to get on some fresh Goodyears and see what he could do out there on the track. He is going to be losing every spot he had on the lead lap. And will he lose a lap as well to one Chris Severa? I believe he just might avoid going down a lap. And in fact, he will. So it looks like you might be able to avoid losing that one lap, which is obviously good news. And I'm going to recant that statement. Wyszynski did go down a lap. So you do lose a lap when you come down pit road, which could prove very, very, very critical if a yellow flag comes out during these these green flag pit stop.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Wyszynski actually he didn't have a lot of time on his tires, so that's kind of odd because as we're looking right now, Severa being the car out there, he's been out there currently for 54 laps, and on those tires, everybody else is 36. So interesting to see that he's still actually stretching his legs out. And he's got tires that are almost, 20 laps older than everyone else.
Saw Kenny Powell tangling a little bit with Al Kozlowski coming around through turns 3 and 4. Now, those are G&G teammates. Kozlowski, a lap down car. So some struggles seeing past some lap traffic there. One more car into pit road. That's race leader Chris Severa down and in. So Severa making a call down to pit road. This is a pit stop we expected to see. He was about 6 laps shy of being able to go to the end of his field window, but with 39 to go, it makes sense to come on in now.
I definitely believe that he is going to force the hands of a lot of other drivers, because the one thing that you don't want is to have him out there on fresh tires, because if you saw how much of a lead he was putting on under road rubber, you only imagine what it's going to be once he gets those fresh Goodyears on that car.
And sure enough, on call, another G&G driver, Kenny Powell, comes down on pit roads. That's all 3 out of 4 remaining G&G drivers down to pit road within 3 laps of each other. So G&G seem to have a strategy in mind. We'll see if Chris Johnson will come on in this next time by. So that cycles Adrian Watson, Brian Watson through to make it a JBR 1-2 up at the front of this field for the time being. But of course, they're going to be losing that lead again, I would imagine, when they come back down to pit road.
Yeah, Johnson's running, his car's pretty beat up, so he's probably not going to gain as much from fresh rubber as some of the other guys. So yeah, I'll definitely be interested to see when that 48 car decides to come on in.
And we're still waiting to see if some of those other drivers will be coming in within these next few laps, or they're going to look to run those tanks dry. Technically, everybody really out there on the track can run those cars. About another 20 laps, but that would put them into pit road at about 16 to go. And I would say, I don't think you want to find yourself coming down to pit road with that much less time, because you could find yourself having a bit of a struggle trying to maintain that time up there. And speaking of which, Watson and Adrian Watts closed up a little bit for the race lead. You can see Severa unlapping himself from second place. That's Adrian Watts entering turn 3 just up the road. So Severa's about to put himself on the lead lap, which will guarantee that Watts is going to definitely be losing the lead.
Or control. As we have to, like I said, as these tires get a little older, they're just like they are when they were a little colder. So it would really suck to have a late stage caution come out like that, because that would really impact a lot of drivers' strategies. As green flag pit stops continue, we still got Severa once again charging back towards the front of that the tail end of that lead lap, and he can smell the blood. He's going to be wanting to definitely close that gap down between himself and Watts.
More cars in from the lead lap. Joshua O'Connor into pit road. Wayne Grossi as well. Interesting stop from O'Connor here. Fuel only for the number 39 Mustang. So what do you think the strategy is behind that? The tire wear might not be as big as I think some people might think, but you're not going to get any spots in the long term by doing that as Johnson comes down to pit road. What do you think the strategy was to cause O'Connor to take fuel only?
I'm not sure. He's not setting blistering in times with new tires, so I'm not certain what the thought process was between that. But I don't think that's going to play out in their favor as we continue to race. Maybe they're banking on a late stage caution.
Well, it absolutely did not work out for him as he's already lost the spot to Wayne Grossi just out of pit road that he just gained in the pits as a result of that fuel-only stop. He's also going to be lapped by Chris Severa at the moment as time continues to cycle on through. Johnson out of pit road, and that leaves Chris Johnson that is yet to exit. And how about that? Both JBR cars in at the same time. Brian Watson, and Adrian Watts both into pit road, leaving Al Kozlowski, the last driver out there, but he is, of course, laps down. So these are the last two guys on the lead lap that needed to come down to pit road, and they're coming in at the same time. Watts going to take full advantage of that curved pit road and lose as little time as possible, driving through as many unoccupied boxes as he can, while one Adrian Watts gets set to tuck in behind. Now the question is, how much time did they lose to Severa, and can they get it back?
Yeah, I think Severa's in the position that he wants to be in right now. I mean, all he has to do is run his line and bide his time. With these other guys coming in, they're gonna push each other to catch up, which means they're probably gonna find themselves in a little bit more tire hurt faster than they would say if they were like riding around like the 62 car, you know?
Well, I will say this much. On 10 lap pressure tires, you can't reel in 22 seconds. And that is the gap between Severa and Adrian Watts. Talk about going for an overcut and backfiring about as hard as you possibly can on that. Just for kind of put that to you on track, right when Watts and Watson exit turn 2, Severa's already halfway through 1 and 2 behind them, about 3 seconds back. That is the difference. You can actually see those. There they are, right entering turn 3. That was Watson you just saw there at the top end of your screen, entering turn number 3, and you're looking at race leader Chris Severa at the moment. It's an insurmountable gap on only 10 lap pressure tires. I think it's safe to say that if Chris Severa doesn't have any further struggles at the course of this race, he'll walk away with an easy race win. So at the moment, your only battles on track. You've obviously got 4th and 5th place. Adrian Watson, Brian Watson, they're getting a little bit tighter with each other. And then 3rd and 2nd place between Kenny Powell and Greg Wyszynski, but none of these battles anywhere inside 0.5 of a second.
And yeah, we had a full field when we started this thing. We have slowly just destroyed a bunch of race cars. That is, I believe, is what we're going to have to tell our teachers on Monday on this thing.
And at the moment, you are watching the Charles Shaw 200 preseason race at Phoenix, Arizona, in Avondale, Arizona, here for the preseason race of the iRacing Stock Car Association's 2022 Tucson Sound Art Cup Series for season number 1. And I want to give a huge shout out as well to Tucson Sound Art, guys that have helped to make this series possible for the Saturday Night Cup Series. Tucson Sounder introduces an entirely new and enjoyable way to listen to music in your home. Uploading and making your own images and pictures into sound art is easy as 1, 2, 3. Everyone who looks at a picture will wonder where the great sound is coming from. A single charge can last you days and gives you the ability to go truly wireless with no power cables. Sound art looks good in any room in the house, from the front room to the back room. The speakers are powered by batteries and receive audio via Bluetooth connection, meaning nobody will even know that the art they're looking at is producing the sound that they're hearing. Tucson Sound Art specializes in creating creating custom artwork from your personal artwork and photos. You can also choose images from their expansive collection of high-quality photos. It's the perfect gift for friends, family, and business associates. To learn more, visit www.TucsonSoundArt.com. Proud sponsors, of course, of this Saturday night ISCA Stock Car Association Cup Series. As one Al Kozlowski brings it down pit road, the last driver to do so in this race, but he still finds himself 11 laps down.
Yeah, I think Kozlowski's just wearing his tires out at this point. He had just came off of pit road, and he finds himself back on pit road, so not sure what's really going on with that right now.
It's unfortunate to see so many cars on pit road. Richard Elliott, of course, 36 laps to go, collected in a bit of an incident of his own, if I'm not mistaken. I think it might have had some more issues of his own. Oh, I see. Just let back out of the now. Lap 96. Completely missed this. This one over our heads. I believe we were still watching the battle for second place at the time. Blew his motor, though, coming out of turn 4. That explains why Elliott's down pit road.
Yeah, I thought somebody said that this track where, you really don't need the aero, but you got to protect the power plant. So as Chris Severa's pushing this thing towards the end, he is definitely the car to beat as he continues to add to the lead.
We saw that happen with Barrick Uphold earlier in this race before we even hit 20 laps in when he was collected in the lap 1 wreck. We almost saw it happen to Chris Johnson. You saw how much that 48 car was having to back off and just get the car cooled down. And he finds himself now 1 lap down as a result of that one. At one point, was as high as 3rd.
Yeah, Chris Johnson's been battling to stay on the lead lap most of this race. He was actually fortunate enough to get a lucky dog and I believe a wave around. But with as much damage as he has, it's just it's futile.
So with everything that's happened, I think it's safe to say this has been far from a usual iRacing Stock Car Association race. But I'm going to ask the question all the same, right? Chris Johnson, we talked about him potentially being a force to reckon with coming into the season after he won the Reformer Cup Series in dominant fashion. What do you think will be the story coming into this season, though? Because, I mean, he has not necessarily gotten off to the best of starts in preseason. Do you think, though, he'll still be able to go and defend his title? Or do you think some guys like Severa, potentially even some rookies, with the likes of Ryan Cliver, could potentially give him a run for his money?
I think that this car this season is anybody's to win. The advantage is going to be to the teams that figure out how to set this thing up and get it to work faster. I mean, because where you think about the Gen 6 cars, we ran those cars for 10 years or whatever. There's a lot of institutional knowledge that goes into the setups on those cars, where coming into these cars, everybody is kind of at ground level zero, kind of starting off at the same time. So I think it's going to be interesting to see. Everybody gets a clean slate. So I think towards the 3rd race of the season, maybe we'll have a better idea of how it's all going to shake out.
I watch one of the only battles on track at the moment between 2 lap down cars. That's Wayne Grossi up the road. Chris Johnson trying to close in the gap, but looks like Grossi looks to potentially extend that gap out. So at the moment, it'll be 15 laps to go here for the Charles Shaw 200 from Avondale, Arizona at the Phoenix Raceway. Why don't we take one more really quick break, and we'll be back with the final 10 laps or so in just a moment.
There are moments that surprise and delight the mind and the senses. Introducing Sound Art, the world's first truly customizable, concealed, flat panel art speaker system. A revolutionary combination of incredible sound delivered from your most meaningful pictures. When art and technology intersect, there is a seamless blend of creativity and function.
Come alive in the streetlight, pulling at the stars in the moonlight. Every time I feel you close.
With Sound Art, anyone can print their own artwork, or pick from numerous licensed artwork that we have. The possibilities are limitless. Enjoy beautiful and amazing sound throughout your home. The entire surface of your artwork generates incredibly robust sound. Your art never sounded so good.
Well, drama on the racetrack. With only 9 cars out there, Al, you wouldn't think it'd be possible, but technical difficulties and connection failures for Brian Watson see him tumbling from the podium, tumbling out of the top 5, and tumbling out of this race. That means O'Connor has the chance to come down and get one more spot despite being 3 laps down. Who would have thought?
And that leaves the number of cars on the lead lap to just 4.
On top of all of that, Greg Wyszynski also in a battle with Adrian Watts at the moment. That is for 3rd place. And Watts got through on just this last lap by Wyszynski. Not able to close him down. 6/10 out. Tell you what, this has been one of the most unusual races I think that we have seen in ISCA history at the moment. I mean, such an attrition-filled start, I think it's worth saying. Attrition-filled first half, to the point where you only had 12 cars out there, and from there it has steadily been dropping more and more, to the point where you've got an 8-second gap between first and second, 4 cars on the lead lap, total of 8 run on the track at the time being.
And Chris Severa is just making himself available to not only be our 2-stage race winner, but a leader, but our race winner. So as we got excited at the beginning of this thing, because here we are with this huge field, 2 laps into it, here we are with this reduced field, and here we are at the end of this thing with 8 to go, and I mean, like, I can't feel anything.
It's all gone Chris Severa's way. I mean, I honestly didn't expect too much from Severa coming into this race. I mean, he qualified first place on pole, absolutely. But he had 2 separate incidents where he spun before getting to start-finish, just getting on the power. One of those, of course, brought out one of our early yellow flags. The second caution on the day, as a matter of fact, all the way back on lap number 5. And a second one, luckily didn't bring out a yellow, but he tumbled his way all the way down to the back of the field. A couple of cautions, though, helped Severa work his way up through the order. And he now finds himself in the lead of this race with under 10 to go by a whopping 9.2 seconds from one Kenny Powell. He can really do no wrong, right? I mean, he's got clean air in front of him, only lap cars behind. All he's got to do is just get that car back around another 5 times. He's going to be smooth sailing.
Yeah, but you want to know what a yeah but is? A yeah but is that Chris Johnson in your rearview mirror. Because there's anybody that can make the last 5 laps of a race exciting, it's Chris Johnson. Whether he's a lap down, on the lead lap, somewhere in the lead lap, that guy always finds a way to bring that 48 G&G car right up into the mix of things. So he is just tucking right in there behind Severa. I just found that odd that both Grassi and Johnson were actually able to just tuck right in behind the race leader and just stay there. And really, they hadn't been losing any time.
Well, I think Chris Severa is going a little bit easier here on this one as well, right? I mean, at the moment, he is still lapping significantly slower, I would say, than Kenny Powell is. And I can't exactly say I blame him, right? I mean, he's basically got a guaranteed win with over 8 seconds separating the two of them. Why push your luck? You don't need to push it, right? You just need to get it through clean. Even if you let these 2 lap cars through, you're barely going to lose any time. At the moment, Kenny Powell would have to reel in about 3 seconds a lap. And without some kind of major problem for Severa, that's not going to happen.
No, it's actually Severa's race to lose, and it has been, and he's even tried to on 2 separate occasions. But somehow the stars aligned for that 62 G&G, and he finds himself 2 laps or 3 laps away from actually putting this thing in the books.
So 2 laps remaining here for the Charles Shaw 156 from Phoenix, Arizona. The Phoenix Raceway in Avondale, Arizona. And I have to say, right, I mean, this has been a very unique race, it's worth noting. Do you think this could potentially impact the moods of some drivers coming over to the actual season opener in 1 week's time over in Atlanta?
Absolutely. I believe if we had such a good turnout here tonight that there would be any reason for these guys to actually belly up to the bar and find themselves a spot here in this ISCA racing field for this Tucson Cup Saturday night race. So, yeah, let's hope that we can actually get ourselves a good following and actually give the people good shows throughout this season as we come on down with 1 to go.
Down the back straight for the final time. Powell is nowhere to be found. Chris Severa will come home and take the checker flag. He wins the preseason race and will spin out across the line, getting into with Kozlowski and Johnson as well. And he will win the Charles Shaw 156 and the preseason race for the Phoenix Raceway.
You know, why not? We done hit everything else out here. Why not just keep this thing going, as you know, all the way through to the end? Awesome race. Congratulations to Severa. A lot of guys didn't get the end that they were looking for, but once again, I think we got a little bit to come away from this with, as Chris Severa, your race winner, followed by Kenny Powell, Adrian Watts in the 3rd place, Greg Wachinski in 4th place, Chris Johnson in 5th place, Wayne Grassy, 6th place, Joshua O'Connor, 7th place, Brian Watson, 8th place, Alex Kozlowski in 9th place, and Don Avery rounds out your top 10.
In a weird twist, Brian Watson was the first DNF we've had this race, but Kozlowski was still behind him, being 18 laps down, which means on 11th place will hold Richard Elliott. Also DNF along the likes of Frank Flores, Robert Pattingill, Ryan Cliver, Logan Hamilton, Gary Adamson, Mario LaPinta, Barrick Uppole, Josh Schaffner, of course Kyle Green not making the start of this race. So a rough race for a lot of drivers out there, a race full of attrition, but one that they managed to come home with and potentially come away with a solid race win. Chris Severa is looking to burn it down on the front straightaway, and as we watch him burn it down in front of the O'Reilly sponsor boards down there in the infield, let's see if we can get in touch with one Chris Severa, if he can hear us over all the Bernie rubber. Chris Severa, you come away in 9.4 seconds clear of Kenny Powell, despite, shall we say, some difficulties getting the car up to speed. You still find yourself top step of the podium.
Yeah, we're going to have to look at that gearbox. There's definitely something wrong with second gear. It's definitely not me at all. But no, all in all, it's I'm glad we were still able to get back up there. Not how we wanted to do it, but at the end, you know, still able to bring it home. It's all we could ask for.
I think it was worth noting, especially on that latest spin that you had, that it was looking rough for you in your bids to try to go for a race win. Do you think it was some of those yellow flags that came out immediately after that helped you to claw your way back up, been able to get yourself that solid race win for us?
Yeah, definitely, you know, it would have been a lot harder to close the gap, like I said, with the dirty airs being so big here. Once, you know, having a short run, being able to pick off one or two guys here and there, then have it rear stack, you know, it made it a lot easier. Like I said, we just had everything fall our way, so I'm just lucky to be here.
So Chris Johnson, obviously your defending champion, down in 5th place, and well, Severa, with your win here in the preseason, you look set to potentially take it to him and take the fight to the 48 car for this season. Do you plan to maybe go for a title in this Cup Series season on the first season of 2022?
We're going to try for the Saturday League. Unfortunately, can't make the Thursday due to scheduling, but we're definitely going to try and give him a shot for his money on Saturday.
Well, the fingers crossed, this will be the first of what might be many race victories for you in the 2022 ISCA Tucson Sounder Cup Series for season number 1 of 2022. Before I let you go, Chris, anybody would like to shout out for your G&G Affleck Mustang?
Again, just everyone at Rocket building a solid base there for us. I think it's James Mullins working on them now, so real big shout out to him. everybody in G&G, we put in like I said, 4 or 5 hours of practice before this race, just trying to figure stuff out. Again, you guys, Al, Noah, Nolan, you guys do a great job up there. Rob behind the scenes. Every week, you guys do a great show, so I appreciate it.
Thank you, Chris, for taking the time to join us up here in the broadcast booth. Congratulations on your race win in dominant fashion. Best of luck next week at Atlanta.
Thanks, guys.
That's Chris Severa taking it home by 9.4 seconds over Kenny Powell. And speaking of Kenny Powell, Al, you've got our second place finish.
Hey, Kenny Powell, is Al Nixon up in the booth. So, how did you feel about your second place finish here this evening?
I mean, I can't complain too bad, I guess. Chris was just too fast for me. So to come in second, I guess I'm pretty happy with that.
So do you guys feel that you got a better handling of the car as the race went on, or are you coming out of this thing knowing anything that you didn't know going into it?
I definitely made my car a little more comfortable after the first or second stage there. I tuned on it during those stops, and my car felt good. It just man, I mean, Chris is on team, my same team. We're running same set. I give the shout out to Rocket Racing. We tuned on that set, and he just got that little bit extra. But I'm happy with how the car handled throughout the race after the stage breaks.
So Severa said something about dirty air. Did you experience any did you notice any handling difference in the dirty air with these Gen 7 cars versus the Gen 6 cars?
Interesting you asked that, because in the practices I've had leading up to this, I really didn't feel too much of the dirty air. But in this race, for sure, when you got within a car length of somebody, it was you had to make sure you weren't going to slide up and hit that wall, because the dirty air was definitely prevalent here.
Well, awesome. Congratulations on a second place finish. Is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, my whole team, Gas and Go Racing, like Chris said, we put together a practice session, put a couple hours into the test set, and bounce around ideas. So shout out to all my guys, appreciate it, and of course you guys up in the booth, Al, Nolan, and couldn't do any of this too without Rob behind the scenes. He actually does it, so we can see it. But so I appreciate you guys.
Well, awesome. All right, Nolan, back to you.
And that'll bring up our third and final driver on the night on the podium. Adrian Watts brings it home in third place. And Adrian, you survived a lot of stuff out there tonight, and you managed to finally work that car up to third place on the podium. Very impressive considering the beating that took tonight.
Oh, yeah. It was, I'd say that was kind of my fault at the beginning, so I'm going to apologize to Greg and Kenny. I was kind of being a little aggressive there, but I know those guys can handle it, so I knew we would make our way back up there.
All in all, we were a little bit surprised at, I think, just how many cautions there ended up being throughout the course of this race. What do you think might have contributed to that? You think that was more down to the car, the track, or potentially a little bit of both?
I don't know. I think it was maybe kind of people, I think it was more of the new guys wanting to show what they had and just wasn't, trying to dive in there, just push the car hard. And, I mean, these things, they're not like the old cars. The smoother you are, the better they are.
And of course, 1 week's time, we got set to kick the season off properly at Atlanta Motor Speedway. It's one of the oldest track services in all of NASCAR at the moment. Are you going to be making an appearance at Atlanta? And if we are, what do you think you can expect coming into that race?
Oh, absolutely. And just hope I can get the rest of the guys there so JBR can have a strong showing. But I'm going to work on it all week, and hopefully I'll be talking to you again.
Well, fingers crossed. I would look forward to potentially, hopefully, talking to you more on the podium, if not in victory lane, throughout the course of this 2022 season. Before I let you go here, Adrian, anybody you would like to shout out for your JBR 08?
Just the rest of the JBR guys, Ryko Motorsports, DA Design, and all you guys for putting on this awesome league.
Thank you, Adrian, for taking the time to join us up here in the broadcast booth. Best of luck over in Atlanta, and congratulations again on the third place.
Thank you.
Well, that's going to wrap it up for the drivers here tonight from Phoenix, and that's going to be a wrap for us as well for the Iverson Stock Car Association. 1 week's time, we're set to kick it off and do it all over again at Atlanta Motor Speedway for 163 laps. Bound to be a fun one. So for us here from Avondale, Arizona at the Phoenix Raceway, I'm Little Rempo with Alfonso Nixon at the broadcast booth with Rob Melnick down behind the cameras for tonight's race. Thank you for joining us for more iRacing Stock Car Association Tucson Sound Art Cup Series, and we will see you all in Atlanta.